Hi, you guys, Erin here, back with another moon update for you. I will also be covering some very interesting energies that we are currently receiving from the heavens. I do think things are going to get a little bit wild over these next few weeks. So stay tuned for that, because first we're going to start talking about this full moon that we've got coming up on Wednesday, July 13th at 11:37 a.m. Pacific time. This full moon takes place in the sign of Capricorn. As with any full moon, this is like the peak of a growth cycle that began about 6 months ago when we had a new moon in the sign of Capricorn. So we've all been experiencing this Capricornian growth over the last 6 months as a collective and also as individuals. For yourself, it really depends on where in your natal chart the sign of Capricorn comes through. Which house does this Capricornian energy manifest through in your own natal chart? And if you're using a Placidus house system, you'd want to see where 21 degrees is coming through your own natal chart. Do you have any other earth signs at 21 degrees? Or do you have something prominent at 21 degrees Capricorn? This is why it's so great to get an astrology reading. I always make sure you get a recording of the reading, so you can go back, watch that recording, and see which area of your life all these new moons and full moons manifest through. Could be coming through your house of career, your house of self, your house of money, your house of relationships, your house of home. So again, that's why it's so great to get the recording of your reading, so you can go back and figure all this stuff out for yourself. Okay, so the sign of Capricorn, this is a very ambitious energy. It's the cardinal earth sign. By cardinal, all the cardinal signs have this really good ambition. They've got force. And this is the cardinal earth sign. So it's actually quite grounded and quite stable and quite practical and really good at taking care of responsibilities. It's generally represented by the mountain goat that can butt its way through obstructions and also wants to climb to the mountain and be on top like a boss. The sign of Capricorn can be really good at taking on authoritarian positions, entrepreneurships, even, taking on being the manager of a company, that sort of thing, because it, generally speaking, is a really good, responsible and grounded and practical energy with a lot of ambition. So how have you grown in these ways? And where do you feel like this has been coming through your own life? Sometimes you can just kind of tap in and intuitively feel where this Capricorn energy might be coming through your natal chart. So let's go ahead and share the screen so I can show you all these things that are going on with this full moon and so on and so forth. So what we're looking at here is basically like a snapshot of the tropical zodiac at the time of this full moon. Again, this is Wednesday, July 13th at 11:37 a.m. Pacific time. So it's going to be different if you're in a different time zone. All right. So I work with geocentric Western astrology. With that said, we put Earth right here in the middle of this thing. And these symbols right here, these are the symbols for the zodiacs, for the celestial bodies. Like here's the sun, here's Mercury, here's Venus, here's the Uranus, here's the North Node, Mars. Okay, and we go in the chart a little bit, and these are the symbols for the zodiac signs that these things will be beaming through onto Earth at the time of this full moon. So let's start by looking at this moon. This right here is the symbol for the moon. We can see it's coming through 21 degrees. This is the symbol, technically called a glyph, for the sign of Capricorn, and 21 minutes to be exact. Look at that, 21. So full moons are always a time where our intuition is going to be heightened. Of course, it's going to be unique for everybody. Of course, that's also depending on your own natal chart, but intuition and emotions can be heightened. This sign of Capricorn can be very grounded and very practical. And if you're a Capricorn, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, that's not me. I'm not grounded. I'm not practical. I'm not ambitious. That's because there's so much more to the natal chart. But the Capricorn energy in and of itself is very good at stabilizing things and being practical. Okay. And the moon actually struggles in the sign of Capricorn because the moon actually rules our emotions and our moods and our intuition. The moon is like the mother of the heavens, okay? And she's actually the ruler of this sign of Cancer. Now try and follow along here. Over here, where the sun is in the sign of Cancer. This right here is the symbol for the sign of Cancer. We can see that the sun and the moon are exactly opposite each other, as they are for every full moon. I like to think of it as the sun is the father, the moon is the mother, and every time they have a full moon, they're kind of facing each other and embracing this growth. But yes, so the sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon. That said, it's in the opposite sign than what it rules. It's in the sign of Capricorn. So it's kind of like this debilitated placement. And the moon has such a strong influence on emotions, and the sign of Capricorn is not generally associated with emotions. So she doesn't get to work comfortably here. The moon doesn't get to flow with her normal watery emotional energy going to the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn's trying to, make everything stable and practical. So there's that, which could be a really good thing because we kind of need that grounded earth energy right now. However, there's so much more to this. I'm going to mention this first. This right here is Pluto, which is only 6 degrees away from the moon. That is strong enough for these guys to be blending together and wanting to work as one. Now, this Pluto energy, it rules the psyche. It's very intense. It's all about transformation. Pluto is very, very powerful. In fact, the influence of Pluto is to create a death and rebirth process. Pluto is like the destroyer and will destroy to create something that's, more powerful than what was there before. And these transformational processes are generally not easy, for anybody really, but it's heavy on the psyche with the moon right next to Pluto. Now, also, Pluto is very, very close. In fact, I am making this recording on July 10th. Tomorrow, Pluto is going back into the exact same spot for America's Pluto return. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video up. You can probably find it on YouTube. I don't know where you're watching this recording, but on YouTube, if you go to my channel, I have a recording all about America's Pluto return. And it has a lot to do with money and finances and the banking system, okay? And that's not all. So I kind of feel like this moon could heighten something that's already kind of chaotic with the inflation and gas prices. And I don't know what's going on in Canada. I saw something about how debit cards weren't working, something like that. And really, as tough as this stuff is, the inflation and people are really struggling, it's all happening with purpose. I mean, at least that's my very strong opinion. It's all happening for a purpose, and we are all going through this extremely powerful transformational process. Now, on that note, okay, we see these blue lines going from here to here. If you're watching this on a phone, just follow along as best as you can. Here's the moon. Again, these blue lines are showing basically a conversation that's going on between the moon and the north node and Uranus. Okay, here's the north node. I'm circling that right now. And here's Uranus right here. Now, we've talked a lot about these guys, but we're going to go into a little bit more information about them now in case you haven't seen any of my previous recordings. So the north node is where energy comes in. It's where the celestial tides come in. The south node down here, that's where they go out. You can see these two symbols are identical, but one's upside down. The north node is, upwards. The south node is facing downwards. Okay. So and they work hand in hand. They're always opposite each other. The north node is where energy comes in. The south node is where energy goes out. Okay. So here we are receiving this Taurus energy while the north node transits through the sign of Taurus. It's been in there since January, and it's going to be in there all the way until July of next year. Okay. So we're all receiving this Taurus energy on Earth, which would normally be very grounded and very practical. Taurus is like the most stable of all the zodiac signs. It's the fixed earth sign. It likes things to be steady, but it's not right now. And it can't be right now. That sign of Taurus is getting rattled. And that is because this right here is Uranus, okay, which is right next to the north node. And they're going to get even closer over these next few weeks. Then Mars is going to join. Whew. So I'll go into that. But Uranus is very spasmodic. It rules over electricity. It's like this super electrical, technological, sort of digital energy that we receive, and it will create sort of like riots on the street type of energy. I've mentioned that before, and I need to make myself clear. I am not suggesting that all of a sudden there's going to be, well, there kind of already has been riots on the streets. Really, there has been a lot. And that makes sense to me as to why. But the North Node is like, again, where energy comes in, is blending in with this super spasmodic energy. Uranus, the ultimate goal of Uranus is freedom. And in the process of trying to bring freedom, it will shake things around. It will send this very like uncomfortable sort of electrical type of energy. Okay. And it's coming through this sign of Taurus, which Uranus, this is another very debilitated placement. The sign of Taurus, again, it wants to be stable and grounded, but it can't be when Uranus and the North Node are beaming through it together. And the poor sign of Taurus is like, I just want to be stable, but it's just getting shaken all around. The sign of Taurus rules over money, finances, material possessions. Okay. And keep in mind the digital sort of electrical energy coming through that sign of Taurus. This makes so much sense. What's going on with the cryptocurrencies. I kind of feel, I do have faith in cryptocurrencies. I'll just leave it at that. I really do have faith. Just hold on tight. I think things are going to get a little weird. Unfortunately, I feel like cryptocurrencies was such a great way to, decentralize things. But I don't know if that's going to be possible with what's going on here. There might be government with sticky fingers coming in to get involved with that. But regardless, I do think crypto is going to go back up. This doesn't just only have to do with cryptocurrencies. This is also the stock market. Taurus rules money. Okay. So there's a lot going on here. And not only that, but as weeks go by, here is Mars. Mars is going to catch up with these guys. Mars is going to be right next to Uranus and the North Node. Mars is aggressive. Okay. Mars is the one who brings heat and dominance, masculinity. It's forceful. Personally, I love Mars. Mars is what gives us the energy to go do what we got to do. Mars is, our drive, our physical drive, but it's hot and it's very powerful and very forceful. And it's going to catch up to these guys. They're going to be the closest on August 1st. Not suggesting anything specific is going to happen on August 1st. I'm more talking about how these next few weeks unfold. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of tension and a lot of pressure around something that involves the inflation or something like that. Again, it just could get a little chaotic. And now this full moon, which is right next to Pluto, who's the destroyer and is, by the way, in retrograde, driving backwards. When any celestial body is in retrograde, it kind of has an extra force and it's unstable. Okay. And so here's the destroyer who's a little unstable and driving backwards through the sign of Capricorn, which, by the way, the sign of Capricorn rules the structure of our civilization, also rules the government. So there is a lot going on here. And these guys are having this conversation at the time of this full moon. The moon, Pluto's a little bit involved here as well. Pluto is right next to the moon. So they're working together, but it's really the moon, the full moon, that's having this connection up here to this Taurus energy. If you have anything prominent, especially your sun or your moon between 15 and say 25 degrees Taurus, you've probably had a lot going on in your life. Okay. For some people, it might be great. It depends on how these things are aspected in your natal chart. But for some people, it's very turbulent. Okay. So keep that in mind. The best way to get through this is to stay grounded. That's what this energy wants. The sign of Taurus wants to be grounded. It wants to be connected to earth. It wants to be stable. So if we can tap into that, that's the best guidance that I could possibly come up with. I mean, of course, we could go into further detail if we have your own specific natal chart, but as a collective, that's what I'm seeing here. Okay. Don't mean to scare anybody, by the way. I really, there's always kind of wild stuff going on. And sometimes it's going to be a little stronger than others. And not only that, but humanity has made it through some very, very tough times. And I feel strongly that we will all get through this. It's just, we got to hold on tight, put on your seatbelts and stay grounded. Okay, now let's see, what else should we talk about here? Let's mention Saturn. As I've mentioned so many times, Saturn is going to the sign of Aquarius, which I personally really enjoy this placement because Saturn rules the sign of Aquarius. So it's like he's working comfortably there. He is in his own home and he knows where everything is. And the sign of Aquarius is really like the sign of humanitarianism. It's the sign of the people. It's also the sign of everybody being very unique. Okay. Everybody being their own very, different kind of person, but kind of trying to like stick together and not, there's this major division going on in humanity right now. That is really tough to see, that people, the politics, it just everything, there's a major division. But there are these groups of people, and I know some of them personally, but I am also just seeing this online. There's groups of people who are gathering together to literally build communities together, for it's the people for the people. And Saturn going through Aquarius is fully supporting that. And that's why I love it so much. I love Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn is not a fun influence. Saturn is the discipliner. Saturn also rules the sign of Capricorn, by the way. It's a different energy going through Capricorn than it is in Aquarius. The sign of Capricorn is more about the authority that can come through with Saturn. Saturn and Uranus both rule Aquarius together, so it makes it very different. It's a little bit more about the people for the people rather than government involvement. So I hope that made sense. All right, now let's see here. We've also got this, I'll mention that grand water trine I'm seeing. Okay, so here again, to mention the South Node. The South Node, again, this is where energy goes out. You can just picture it like a, like a faucet or something. The energy is coming in, the water is coming out through the faucet. That's the North Node. It's going down the drain through the South Node. And here's the South Node going through Scorpio. Scorpio and Taurus are opposite each other. The North and South Node are always opposite each other. Okay, and they change zodiac signs approximately every year and a half. Okay, so South Node going through Scorpio. This is giving us an opportunity to let go of what is no longer serving us. And it's a major opportunity for it because the sign of Scorpio is very naturally good at letting stuff go. Out of all the zodiac signs, hands down, the sign of Scorpio is the most talented for going through transformational processes and being empowered through them. Okay, the sign of Scorpio actually rules the part of the body where things go out of the body. So this South Node being the drain point, it works well here. This is such an ideal time. And I'm not just talking about for this full moon, I'm really talking about all the way until July of next year. If there's things in your life, especially if they're involving anything that has to do with the sign of Scorpio and where that comes through your natal chart, this is the time. This basically for a whole nother year. Think about what you want to let go of, what's not serving you, and let it go. And sometimes that's way easier said than done, but it's a time for it. We were fully supported for that. Okay, now this grand water trine. We can kind of see that there's this there's kind of actually a couple grand water trines. There's this blue triangle. You can probably see one a little easier than the other, but there's this, we see these blue triangles in the middle of the chart here. One of these blue lines, let's just use this one right here. It's going from here to here. Okay. Again, if you're watching this on a phone, it's hard to see. Just follow along as best as you can. I'm moving my mouse as much as I can so that you can see where I'm talking about. But up here, this is Neptune in Pisces. Now, I've talked a lot about this as well. This is the qualities of Neptune going through Pisces is the mysticism and the spirituality. And because Neptune rules the sign of Pisces, this is another one that's working comfortably in his own home. Neptune, it's just by nature a very psychic energy, a very spiritual energy, and that's lovely. However, it is very unearthly. It's like really spiritual to the point where can be this sense of confusion. And I'm seeing this anyway, very clearly that there's a lot of delusion going on. People are being deluded. It's so important to pay attention to where we are getting our information from, the source of information, where, you're getting what you're being exposed to. Realize that there's a lot of agendas going on, and it's just important to pay attention to what the truth is. I'll just leave that there. That's a touchy subject, but Neptune going through Pisces can definitely influence a beautiful spiritual awakening, but if it's not being utilized properly, it can definitely create some delusions. Okay. So, but then let's get back to the qualities here. So this is, again, the South Node going through Scorpio, connecting up here to Neptune in Pisces. And that said, if there's something maybe in your spiritual, I'm just giving examples here. Maybe you're on a spiritual journey right now, because I know a lot of you are. I know if it seems like 75% of my clientele is having this crazy spiritual awakening. If there's anything in this process that's not serving you, so if there's something that's not feeling right about your spiritual path, or maybe, somebody you're connected to that's kind of teaching you some spiritual practices, and something's not right about it, let it go. It's perfectly aligned for that right now. Then we've got Neptune over here that connects to the sun in Cancer. Now, the reason that this is making this triangle, the reason that these guys are all having this conversation is, and it's kind of a harmonious one, is because these are the three water signs. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces are the water signs. The water signs are very well recognized for their intuition, their even like psychic capabilities, but also the emotions, feeling the emotions of others. They can all be kind of tapped into spirituality in their own little unique way, but they're all having this kind of lovely conversation at the time of this full moon. And it's like really kind of for a day or two that this energy is going on. Everybody's intuition definitely could be heightened, especially for you sensitive ones. But it can also be very sensitive and very emotional. Okay. So be mindful of that. But also, this is, if you are on a spiritual path, it's a beautiful time to embrace all of that. But again, really focus on letting go of what's not serving you. Okay. So I hope that all made sense. We've also got Venus going through Gemini, which is fun. Gemini is a very fun energy. It's this sign of communication and duality. It's the mutable air sign. So it's just kind of a fun and playful energy. It's got vibrance. Okay. And it can be very chatty, and Venus kind of influences what we're attracted to. So this might be very interesting for some couples out there for relationship energy. Again, just so much depends on your own natal chart. But if you are in a relationship and something's a little off, talk it out. Talk it out while Venus is going through Gemini. I'll just leave that there. Again, so much depends on your own natal chart, but Venus going through Gemini could be a really good time for relationship energy to be communicated. Okay, Jupiter still going through Aries. This is hot. Jupiter is burning up right now. This can be kind of an aggressive energy, but it can also be like huge abundance and fiery abundance. I'll just leave that there, because again, so much of this really depends on your own natal chart. That's what's so great. You get a reading, then you've got your recording, and you can go back and kind of apply this stuff to your own chart. Okay, so next thing I'm going to talk about are some stones that resonate well with this Capricorn energy. This right here is garnet. Okay, now garnet, it's a little dusty. That's just because it's been on my dresser for a while, but garnet is a really good stone for grounding. However, if you already are a Capricorn, or let's say you've got a ton of Capricorn energy in your natal chart, you may not want to carry garnet on your body, especially at the time of a full moon in Capricorn. What I always do is I pull out my journal, depending on what's going on. If it's a new moon, I'm writing down what I'm trying to manifest. If it's a full moon, I'm writing down what I'm grateful for as far as my growth goes, applying it to that. For this would be the sign of Capricorn. I take this stone and I put it on top of my journal, because if you've already got a ton of Capricorn energy in your natal chart, you could kind of be already overdoing it. You're already operating at that frequency, and you may not need to, be applying any more of this type of frequency to your body, to your vessel. So taking a piece of garnet, putting it on your journal after you write down what you're grateful for or what it is you're trying to let go, that sort of thing, and leave it up there. I do this before the full moon peaks, and then I leave it on the journal until after the full moon has completed. Okay, some other stones to mention here. This right here is tiger's eye. This is another one that really does resonate well with the Capricorn energy. It's a beautiful stone. It's really good for grounding. Okay, I keep mentioning the word grounding because we really all kind of need some of that. And then this one right here, this is a big one. This is a piece of obsidian. The reason I have this huge piece, I've got a few of them, is because there's a place called Glass Mountain that is fairly close to where I live. And I've been up there and brought some chunks home, and I use them very specifically to keep my home protected. We put them in front of all, like the front door and my sliding glass door, to keep weird energies out. Obsidian is a very, very protective stone, and you might all want to be using some protective stones at this time. Okay, also body parts that are ruled by the sign of Capricorn. It's generally the knees. Capricorn is very much associated with the knees, rules that part of our body. But there's also some other things as well. It kind of rules the structure of our body, meaning like our skeleton, our bones, our teeth, even our skin. And oddly, Capricorn also has a strong influence on the gallbladder. Now, if any, like let's say you already have knee problems, they might become a little like more sensitive during the time of this full moon. Pay very close attention to that. Do what you can to kind of apply some good energy towards these parts of our body, because they do become more sensitive when the parts of our bodies that are ruled by the sign that the moon is transiting through, especially when she's full, become sensitive. Okay, so it's a good time to pay a little extra attention to these parts of our body. Okay, so I will leave it at that. If you would like to schedule an astrology reading, please do go to my website, which is erinwageastrology.com. You can schedule straight through my website. There should be a little link on top that says book online. That's if you're using a computer. If you're using a phone or device, then it's gonna look like a menu. There's gonna be like 3 little bars. When you click on that menu, you will see a drop-down menu, and right there, you will see book online. So you can schedule straight through my website, which I really do encourage people to do. However, if there's nothing there, if you don't see anything that's convenient for you, generally my business hours are between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Pacific time. So if you're in a totally different time zone and that just doesn't work for you, then send me an email, and we can, I can be flexible with my hours, and we can figure something out from there. Okay, so I do hope to, an email, erinwageastrology@gmail.com. And again, the website is erinwageastrology.com. I'll leave links for those. Look for, in the description or the comment section of this recording, depending on where you're seeing it. And also, I will leave a full, extensive list of Capricorn stones for you guys, in the description or the comment section, depending on where you're seeing this recording. Okay, guys, until next time, namaste to all of you.